Hey everyone, welcome back to PR and Test Drive. Today we have the Lego Technic Land Rover Defender 90 here. It's got independent suspensions, it's got a working 4-speed transmission, high-low transfer case, an inline 6 underneath here, ladders, doors that open, gearbox as you can see down there. It's really pretty impressive stuff, but what about the big one? This is the biggest and almost baddest Land Rover Defender, the 2025 Defender 130 V8. Now, why almost baddest and not the baddest? That's because Land Rover just released the Defender Octa, which has wider fenders and an even more powerful engine. But nonetheless, we're focusing on this one today, so let's check it out. First of all, this Defender has an as-tested price of about 160,000 Canadian dollars after delivery, but before regular tax and before luxury tax. What you get for that amount of money is JLR's tried and true 5-liter Supercharged V8. It produces 493 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque. This actually is a slightly detuned version of the engine compared to the P525 you'll find in the 110 V8 and the 90 V8. Nonetheless, it's still a roaring V8. The engine is connected to an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission. Power goes to all 4 wheels via a 2-speed transfer case. And of course, this also has locking differentials, both in the center and in the rear. Now, this being the 130 Defender, it's of course very heavy. It weighs in at a little under 2,700 kilos for curb weight. The Defender I have here is configured in Carpathian Gray and Narvik Black. The Carpathian Gray portion also has a matte PPF, which allows it to create a very nice contrast compared to the gloss black. The front end looks very aggressive. It's got LED headlights, LED fog lights, skid plates underneath, and also diamond tread plates as decoration on the hood. I think this is very unique and it looks really cool. Of course, this being the Defender 130, we have to take a look at the side profile and see if it looks a little weird. Well, yes it does. I think in terms of proportions, the 110 looks the best. The 90 is a close second, but this 130 is just a little too long. The proportions are a little bit off. But given how much more space you get compared to the 110, if you need to carry more than 5 adults or you need the cargo capacity, I think this is an easy compromise to make. I also think that this famous side square really helps break up the length over here. Mechanically speaking, this Defender gets air suspension in all 4 corners. Right now it's set to the off-road setting, which means it's lifted and it looks even cooler. The front also gets 6-piston brakes, 22-inch rims all around, and 275 wide tires. If you haven't already noticed, this Defender is also equipped with the snorkel, which basically means that it can swim. Well, not really, but you can go into up to 77 centimeters deep of water. This Defender also is equipped with mud flaps and also running boards. If you don't like this tube-style running board, you can option for many different other types of running board, including one that will extend out on its own. So the wheelbase of the Defender 130 is actually the same as the 110. The extra length, 34 centimeters to be exact, all comes from the rear overhang. So including this spare wheel, the 130 comes in at just under 5.4 meters long. If you have a smaller garage, it's definitely something to look out for. In terms of design, I really like it. I think the two-tone looks cool. The Defender over here looks great. I especially like these taillights. I think it's very unique. Of course, this being a V8 version, it also has quad exhaust tips down there. In terms of towing capacity, it's rated for 3,000 kilos or just over 6,600 pounds. With that said, I do have one small complaint though. This Defender is equipped with a digital rear view mirror, but The camera for the digital rearview mirror is all the way up here on top at the antenna, which means that if a car is right behind you, you basically cannot see them. So in terms of trunk space, if you have all 3 rows of seats folded up, despite this being the 130, the longest Defender ever to be made, you don't have much cargo space back here. In terms of depth, as you can see, my backpack fits just about. But the good thing is the third row seats fold down 40-20-40 split, which gives you quite a lot of flexibility, and that's great. The second row seats also fold down, but there isn't any one-touch fold down solutions or buttons over here that you could just click and fold them down. You have to go over to the side to fold them down individually. As mentioned, this Defender also has air suspension, so there are 2 buttons here that you can lower and raise the vehicle, just like that. I press it, press and hold, and it just keeps lowering down for me. It goes pretty low, so it's pretty nice. It makes it easier to access the trunk area. Now, in addition to all that, you also have a cargo box here that is removable, so you can strap it down using some Velcros, which is quite interesting, or take it out, and I think overall this is pretty neat. Starting off the interior with the third row seats, I actually have a very comfortable amount of space here, good amount of headroom, and still enough amount of leg room, even with the second row seat slid all the way back. Now, the atmosphere in here is really good. You've got leather seats, leather armrests, a dedicated sunroof, even heated seats. So it's really a second row treatment for this third row, and I think it's a massive win. Whether if you can fit 3 adults back here comfortably, I'm not so sure, but 2 adults, absolutely. Standard for the second row are 60-40 split bench seats, but what I have here are the upgraded captain's chairs. These captain's chairs are more bolstered and have more padding, so it's reasonable to expect a little bit more comfort out of them as well. In terms of space, there's a good amount of space, a huge panoramic sunroof on top of me, good amount of legroom, headroom, you name it. The seats also have pretty good adjustability. You can recline and you can slide them forwards and backwards, things like that. These seats are also heated and cooled, which is nice, and you have 2 more zones of climate control over here and some cup holders on the floor. In terms of the spec, I'm actually a huge fan. Murdered out on the outside, tan on the inside. This is pretty much exactly how I would spec my own Defender if I were to get one, except it will be a 90 version instead of a 130 like this one. The interior design is also really cool. You've got exposed screws, open space, open compartments for you to store stuff, but at the same time you also have a ton of leather around you, which makes this not only rugged, but also very upscale. The center console here has some cup holders, a wireless charger, a bunch of buttons here for your screen, which we'll get to in a little bit, and a huge storage compartment. You also have a little hidden shelf here that you can extend and close, which is very neat. But what's even cooler is the fridge over here. You get a fridge here that actually gets cold really quickly, and you can put a couple drinks here for when you're on the road, which is really cool. It's not just a gimmick. I actually would use this. As far as tech goes, this Defender comes with a head-up display, a digital instrument cluster, and an 11.4-inch infotainment screen that supports wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. The resolution on the screens are good, and the UI looks pretty nice. Unfortunately, it's pretty slow. The responsiveness of the screen and the UI is just not the best. The physical buttons down here definitely helps. You have your climate control, your suspension adjustment, your drive mode adjustment, your volume control, things like that. But I really would wish if Land Rover put it in a better processor for their screens. That would make a world of difference. Over here on the steering wheel, you also have physical buttons, which is nice, and these paddle shifters are metal. It feels really good. In terms of amenities, as suggested by its astronomical price tag, you pretty much have everything you would want. Heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel, memory seats on both the driver's side and the passenger side, a Meridian sound system, heated windshield, an air purification system, of course the refrigerator, You name it, you pretty much have it. So unlike the previous generation Defenders, which has a body-on-frame construction, these newer Defenders is a unibody construction. Now a lot of people would prefer these newer ones to also be body-on-frame, but unfortunately unibody it is. But unibody does have its benefits. And one of them being the fact that they ride much better. This Defender, with the combination of the air suspension, actually is very comfortable on the road, and even in turns, because of the air suspension, it is able to stay pretty level and without much body roll, despite being 1.97 meters tall. So speaking of the air suspension, it is height adjustable. In off-road mode, you're able to raise the car up 7 or 8 centimeters, and in vehicle access mode, you can lower it by about 4 centimeters. Nonetheless, it's still a very tall truck, so please take note before you buy one of these, because it might not fit in your garage. Off-road capabilities are obviously exceptional, as seen in countless Defender off-road videos. I don't think I need to show you anymore because we all know that this is great off-roading. But the on-road manners are also really good. Steering is fairly light but not too vague, and it is also very stable on the highway. Despite this being a box of an SUV, it doesn't really get blown within your lanes, so that's pretty good. The gearbox is a ZF 8-speed, so it's smooth, but it's also fairly quick. I think this is a perfect off-roader to also be a pavement queen. Power is definitely there. I think this Supercharged V8 has fully proven itself to be fun and exhilarating to drive. But given that this truck is 2,700 kilos or almost 2,700 kilos, I think it could use a little bit more low-end torque. If you're at a higher gear and you're below 3,000 RPM, it's a little bit underwhelming. Lucky for me, over the past week, it's been warm enough for me to enjoy some roll-down window engine sounds. Let's slow down a little bit. Hopefully you can hear some of that because it's quite addicting. And it's awesome. The exhaust still has pops and crackles, but unfortunately it seems like it's been tuned down over the years. It doesn't pop as much, it doesn't crackle as much, and the overall volume of the exhaust is also much more muted. With that said, it's not difficult to get an aftermarket exhaust system for a vehicle like this, so go ahead and do it. I would if I had a Defender. In terms of safety technology, pretty much everything comes standard on this Defender. You have things like blind spot warning, emergency braking, rear cross traffic alert, adaptive cruise control, lane departure warning, 360 camera, things like that. The adaptive cruise control works really well, but bear in mind that none of the Defenders come with lane centering. So at the very most, the lane keep assist will only ping pong you within your lane. The 360 camera is also pretty decent on this Defender. On one screen, it shows quite a lot of different camera angles, so you can see if you're close to the curb, or when you're off-roading, if you're close to the end of the trail, things like that. Fuel economy, as expected, it's pretty horrible. In the city, you won't get away with anything less than 20 liters per 100 kilometers. On the highway, it's a little bit better at 11 or 12 liters per 100 kilometers, but still, it's pretty bad. Nonetheless, if you're buying a vehicle like this, you wouldn't care about gas prices, nor would you care about how much fuel costs, so that should be okay. I think what's more important for a buyer like this, or a potential buyer considering this car, is the fuel tank size. Unfortunately, the 130 does not get a bigger fuel tank compared to the 110. They're both about 90 liters, which realistically will give you about 500 kilometers of range on a tank. I think despite the 160,000 Canadian dollar price tag before luxury tax and before regular tax, it still has its charm. There are very few off-roaders that come with a V8. The G550 only comes with an inline-6 now. The Lexus GX only comes with a V6. Not to mention that this is supercharged. The only one that's close would be a G63, which is a twin-turbo V8. But that is about double the price of this. In addition to that, you also get 3 rows of seats, and the third row is really comfortable. So I like it. This Defender not only is good on off-roading capabilities, it's also good on-road. So if you want to spend this kind of money and make it into a grocery getter, it's fully capable. It's actually very easy to do that. But I'm at a gas station now. It's time to fill up. I'm not looking forward to how expensive that is going to cost. So that's about it for me today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know if you like a Defender for yourself. Let me know if you think they're cool or if they're too expensive. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.